Here's a rock, we call it Earth, and here's you, a big sack of meat which can somehow talk. But go back 4.5 billion years and it looks a little different, and there's definitely no talking meat. So how did that happen? Well, if you look basically anywhere, you'll see a metric boatload of hot stuff. That's a big no-no for early life. So let's wait a modest 100 million years for it to chill out. Cool, now we have water. Don't drink it though. It's salty, acidic, and full of small molecules. Some of these are amino acids, which can join together to make proteins. That seems useful. Others are nucleotides. They join to make DNA. Also useful. But those come later. We'll use those nucleotides to build a different molecule. RNA. It's basically DNA with an extra oxygen. But anyways, why RNA? Because it's good enough. If you passed year 7 biology, you'll know that proteins are basically a cell's workers. Your body makes over 100,000 different ones, but this one's called hemoglobin. You've probably heard of it. As for DNA, it's basically your cell's instruction manual. Here's the problem. DNA is really good at storing information, but that's it. It's like having an instruction manual but no tools. And proteins are really good at a lot of things, including copying DNA, but they can't store information. That means you kinda need both, which wasn't really possible on early Earth. Luckily, RNA is like their very confusing baby. It can store some information and copy itself with a few mistakes, but it was good enough. It would take another 4 billion years for this guy to discover natural selection, but it actually began here. The RNAs which were better at copying themselves and did so with fewer mistakes propagated, whilst others disappeared. But now we just have a ton of RNA. So what next? Well, let's take a look at our ancient stew. But DNA doesn't evolve quite yet, so let's focus here. Purely by chance, some RNAs were able to bind to amino acids and help them join together into a protein. Most of them did nothing, but very few actually helped the RNA survive, which is cool and all, but it's still not a talking sack of meat. So let's make the sack. Fats, or specifically phospholipids, naturally form vesicles, or bubbles, when placed in water. Remind you of anything? If one of these formed around an RNA with a useful protein, it would keep them together, effectively forming a protocell. Now allow another 200 million years and RNA accidentally copies into DNA, losing an oxygen. It also swaps uracil for thymine by adding this bit, and decides to grow a friend. All these tweaks make DNA more stable, so they stick around. Meanwhile, proteins learn to protect, read, and even copy DNA, and whoa, there's a cell. Purely by chance, life is born, just 700 million years after the Earth is formed, and it would stay much the same for the next 1.7 billion years. Sure, some cells might grow a tail or a cell wall, but all life was single-celled. So what happened? Around 2 billion years ago, one cell swallowed another, and instead of eating it, it kept it alive. And so, the mitochondria was born. An absolute powerhouse, the mitochondria provided way more energy for cells. It allowed life to grow bigger and more complicated. Around this time, the nucleus probably popped up too, keeping the DNA more organized. But still, life remained single-celled for another billion years, until eventually, eukaryotic cells began sticking together after dividing. This created colonies of cells offering protection and better resources. Over time, different cells took on different jobs, becoming nerves, muscles, skin, and eventually a talking sack of meat. But we're not done yet. Let's rewind and take a closer look at RNA. It's a long repeating chain of nucleotides, which look like this. A ribose sugar with a phosphate group and one of 4 letters, A, U, C, or G. Why am I telling you this? Because if we zoom out a lot and look right here, we'll see Bennu, an asteroid which was visited by NASA during the OSIRIS-REx mission. After analysis, they found all 4 of the RNA letters, and the DNA letter T, as well as ribose, phosphate, and amino acids. If you're keeping track, that's everything you need to make RNA and proteins, which means early life might be more widespread than we think. So yeah, that's how we got here. Now subscribe, you sack of meat.